Alright, so let's talk categories this time. Um, so, category. Let's open up the drawers scene. And basically have open up our category example. So basically you with categories you can categorize your members into separate groups and display them in separate groups in the inspector like so. So fields, properties, methods, and a bunch of stuff that I'm gonna explain right now. So the way you do that, so by default, if you go to better behavior, you see 4 categories defined for you. Now these are available by default for you, so once you inherit from better behavior, you're gonna get these categories for you. Now the way you define a category is you put up a name, a display order, which is a float, and then you have a bunch of ways to categorize your stuff. So in this instance, I'm defining this category to include all member types. And I'm not gonna explain exclusive now, you're just gonna have to wait for it. Just stick with me a little bit. And then a properties with a higher display order. So basically fields are gonna be displayed before properties. And this time I'm doing member type property and member type method. And here I'm using a different way of categorizing. I'm using a regular expression pattern. So basically anything that starts with dbg is gonna include it in this dwalk category. So dbg flow, dbg color. Okay, now let's take a look at our categories example. Now I should have probably split them into different examples, but anyway. So let's look at the first category. Now here is non-exclusive strings. So basically here I'm categorizing by data type, which means all members that have a data type of string. Now what I mean by data type is if it was a field, it would be the field's type. If it was a property, it would be the property's type. And if it was a method, it would be the return type of the method. So if there was a method that had a string, it would be included in this category as well. And I'm also defining a pattern to be anything that starts with exclusive, non-exclusive. Okay, and I'm also setting this exclusive flag, which I'll explain in a little bit. Now, by default, what happens to these filters is that an intersection operation will be performed on them. So what you're gonna get from this category is members with a string data type and whose name start with non-exclusive. So there's an intersection, not a union. Basically, this is a set operation. If I look at the code here for define category, so there's a member type. What is member type? There's field, method, property, and all. There's a regular expression pattern. There's you can categorize by data type, like we've seen. So it's a type. Now full type. This is the full path. Basically, so instead of having a separate name, you could actually nest categories. That's why I'm using a full path. So you can have nested categories, like we will see. Explicit members we haven't explained yet. Display order. This is the order that you want to display your categories in. Exclusive I haven't explained yet. Grouping, this is what I meant by intersection or union. So by default, the filters that you apply on your categories are intersected. Okay. Alright. Now, if we wanted to have a different grouping type, we could have just said grouping equals setup union. Now what does that mean? Well, basically that means that in this category we're gonna have all members that have a data type of string and all members that start with the name non-ex. So even if we didn't have a member whose data type is string and its name is starts with non-ex, is gonna include it as well. All right, so this is what grouping means. All right, now what does it mean to be exclusive? All right, so basically there's gonna be some members resulting from this filter here. So members that have a string and their name gonna start with non-ex. Now exclusive, if you set exclusive to false, that means that those members are exclusive to that category. So even if they were defined in another category, they're not gonna appear in that category. So they're exclusive to this one only. Right? Now that means that you could have members displayed multiple times in different categories. Right? Like we will see. So here is another category, data type int and a pattern of ex. Now notice I didn't have to pass exclusive equals true because it's a category is exclusive by default. Okay, so another category, data type void and member type property. Oh yeah. Okay, now for a moment I thought what this doesn't make any sense because we're using a void and properties. Well, you can't have a return type for void, but as you will see, we're using a union, which means any member that has a data type for void, which means methods of course, and as well as properties. Okay, and again I'm using a pattern, non-exclusive, and like we've seen, is set the grouping to union. That means all of these will be united together and exclusive equals false. And here this is an explicit category, so you can add by name, which I don't really recommend doing because a lot of time you refactor your code and you rename your variables and stuff, so you might not get the results you want. But if you want to do it, you could do it that way. You could explicitly add members by name, so fields, methods, properties, it doesn't matter. And here we have a nested category. Now let's see how these, here you have a large explanation of what's going on, but let's see how these let's see the results of these categories. So here we have a non-exclusive string, non-ex string 1, 2, 3. So these should be included in the first category, right? Because we're defining a string and a pattern of non-ex. So these should be included. These should be not included. Why? Because although they're string, they don't start with non-ex, and by default the grouping is intersection and not union. If it was union, however, we would have gotten these fields in this category. Exclusive int, where are these going to be defined? Well, they're going to be defined in this category. So exclusive int, data type int, and a pattern of ex. So those are going to go into the second category. Float, I don't see them defined anywhere in here. Well, they will be included here because we have a property, member type of property, and the intersection of union, so they might be included in here. And as well as, if you remember before, we have a properties category, so they could be included in that as well. So a bunch of test methods. Notice void, so they're going to be included in unite as well, these two methods. And here you could use this category attribute, which we've seen before in the properties example from last video. Basically you're saying that, hey, this member belongs to the category whose name is custom. Now you could use a const and not a string, and not static, because attributes only take constant stuff. They don't take stuff that requires any computation. And okay, so this stuff is gonna go under custom, and this stuff is gonna go under debug. Okay, so let's see. Okay, let's see the debug first. The debug is easy. So we have dbg color and float. dbg color and float, and this is from the categories define and better behavior. You get a debug category with anything that starts with dbg. Okay, now let's see explicit. Okay, so these are added explicitly by name. Other string 1, xint 1, float prop 1, and custom method. Okay, nice. And I'm not gonna look at unite now. Let's look at exclusive ints. So, okay, so we have exclusive int, but notice we're only getting 2 integers and we're not getting this one. Now we'll see why. Honestly, I can't remember why, but we'll figure out why. Why? Oh, yeah. So basically, if you remember from the previous category, we explicitly added the integer in here. So if I remember correctly, I think I somehow resolve categories that has explicit members defined. I think so, yeah. I think so, yeah. So we have, so this category is has an exclusive of true, which means all these members are exclusive to it. Now, even though this category defines type of int and pattern of ex, it's not gonna get this one because this integer is exclusive to this one, to this category. That's why you didn't see it. All right, non-exclusive string. So nothing crazy here. Okay, non-exclusive string. Okay, string, data type string, and a pattern. All right. Okay, methods. Test method 1 and 2, and now methods is category from better behavior. All your methods will go under the methods category. Properties, and this is a category for all your properties. Again, it's defined in better behavior, but now you see we're not getting float prop 1. I hope you understand why, because we're explicitly including it in this category, so it only shows up here. All right, fields. Now again, this is a category in better behavior for all your fields, and I'm just gonna pause because I ran out of tracks. I don't know, let's do them again one more time. Yeah, non-exclusive. If you look at the fields, it's non-exclusive, which means even if whatever members defined in this category might be included in other categories. And like you see, if you open up non-exclusive string, we see the string apply multiple times. This is because both categories declare that they do want those members, but they're not exclusive. All right. Other string, nobody defines that they want other string, so it goes under fields. Okay, so the only thing that we haven't covered yet is unite. Okay, so what does unite have? Like we've seen, so data type void, so void methods, properties, and the pattern of non-exclusive, and the grouping of union. Okay, so that means we're gonna get any member that satisfy any of these conditions, basically. So data type void, we get these methods. Pattern of non-ex, we get non-exclusive string, and a data type of and a member type of property, we get this property, this float property, but we don't get the first property, this float prop 1, because it's already defined in this explicit category. Alright. Now, if you don't want to have any categorization, you could use a category called, I'm pretty sure we've came across it a number of times now. But if you go to basically any of the examples, nope. Yeah, you could use this basic view, which means that, hey, I don't want any categorization, I don't want any of that crap. Just give me a normal view, please. So you get this. You don't have any categories. Another way you could use, let me show you minimal, just quick. So apply it on classes. Another attribute you could use is the minimal. Now, when you use that, it's even more basic. So we have it applied on selection example. Let's see that. So yeah, you get an editor that looks like very similar to Unity's editor. So no categorization, and I actually shouldn't have done that. Like, you don't have the you can't change the serializer anymore. But yeah, if you go with minimal, this is what you get. If you want the script fold out, you'd have to go with basic. There's more to categories. Attributes, API, no. Okay, categories. So you could ignore category. So basically, all right. So let's say you wanted to ignore. Let's go with something. Just a second here. Okay. So decorations. Let's say I wanted to ignore categories. Fields. All right. So I don't want fields. Okay. Now fields is defined in better behavior, but I don't want it. Okay. So what's gonna happen now is decorations example. Okay. So wait for it to reload. No, I think I don't have the decorations example anywhere. A script, I mean. So the fields got ignored, like you see, and yeah, so you don't get to see this integer field because it's defined in the fields category and we just ignored it, so we don't get to see it. Maybe let's so define category, my custom category. Let's put them in some category, poor thing category. My custom. Oh, come on. Category. Yeah, category. Okay. If you were to reload, it takes too long because of the recording app. And here we go. This is our integer. I think I don't have anything else to say about categories. I might, however, implement some custom sorting for your members somehow. Maybe give you the ability to sort members, maybe move them up and down. This is just floating in my mind right now. Maybe, I don't know.